Welcome to another live stream. As always, we're back here again. One thing I will add, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on replay or catching up, make sure you stick around till the end because we do have a $50 giveaway and we're on day 3 of that. So 2 guys have already taken away $100, which is very, very good for them. Obviously, we like to be with the community. But AJ, how are you today? What's going on in your world?
Yeah, good. Yeah, technical side of stuff. Yesterday we held support. We'll get onto that a little bit later. And then, there's some big news from one of the biggest hedge fund firms in the world. So we'll get onto that a little bit later as well.
Yeah, I know, and it's a good day. It's a good day, but the first thing I want to do
Yeah,
is I do just want to quickly, go through this particular story because it's I don't know. I'll let you decide what you make of it. This is what we see here. So there was votes. It ended an hour ago. So there was 300 million people voting in the Terra station, which is essentially where they're voting for or against the proposal that Do Kwon had come up with, which is his version 2.0. So this is a new one. Now, just to summarize this, what he's saying is, look, let the old Luna die and call it Terra Classic. And then we have a new chain called Luna, but it doesn't have the stablecoin functionality. And that's obviously what kind of dragged old Luna, which is now going to be called Luna Classic, down in its massive death spiral. So 65.5% said yes. Nearly 21 said no, they want to abstain. 13 said no with veto, but sorry, unfortunately, 65% said yes. So over 200 million people actually voted yes to the new proposal. And you can see these
there's,
are the different validators.
sorry, there's a lot of controversy there as well because I know that Do Kwon said that, Luna is not just about their stablecoin, but I thought that was their main thing around that Luna token. So there's a bit of controversy there as well.
Well, exactly. I know. I mean, I think he now is just maybe trying to save his own skin because,
Yeah,
even with Luna, like old Luna, he said, let's just call that Luna Classic and then just essentially let it die. But he said what there will be is there will be an airdrop across all of the Luna Classic stakers. So if you are a Luna Classic staker, so you currently have Luna as you're staking it or holding it, or residual UST holders, you will have an airdrop into your wallet. And I'm not sure exactly how he feels that's going to be done properly. But anyway, that's his plan. And just to kind of summarize this, he wants to create a new Luna chain without the algorithmic stablecoin, just like I said. The old chain will be called Luna Classic, and the new chain will be called Luna Token, which is basically just Luna. So give the old one Luna Classic, and then everyone knows Luna as Luna, which I think might be a bad thing, just for the mentality of it. And then Luna, the new Luna, will be airdropped across Luna Classic stakers, holders, and residual UST holders, and essential app developers of Terra Classic. Then another bit of summary: the TFL wallet, as you see there, whatever all that stuff is, will be removed in the whitelist of the airdrop, because obviously if you launch a new chain and you have Luna, obviously the Luna Classic, the TFL wallet, is just going to take up most of the supply. So he's going to take that away, so it only goes to the community, meaning Terra will be a fully community-owned chain. So I'm thinking what he's imagining is that obviously you can kind of build that up from there onwards. But just these final 2 points, he wants to allocate a large portion of the token distribution to one, providing emergency runway for existing Terra developers, and align the interests of developers with long-term success of the ecosystem. I mean, there's been loads of information that's kind of come out recently with regards to what he has said previously, and now some people are like, oh, actually, we should have known this ages ago, because he said really weird things like, I want to be like, I can't remember the exact phrase, so I'm going to paraphrase. He said, most things come and then they grow up and then they go. And that's exactly what we want to be like at Luna. And then, he was saying all of these weird things. There was actually a YouTuber who did a really, really good deep dive into this. I mean, there's probably been loads. But just to finally add on to here, the network security to be incentivized with token inflation. So this is going to be secured. And so the target staking rewards. So again, you can stake, but it's not going to be 17% like it was just before the previous crash. It's going to be 7%. Now, I mean, that seems like a reasonable return. Doesn't seem like a Ponzi type return. So I think that maybe could work, but I guess you've just got to have, support from people. And AJ, how do you think this will probably be received, not necessarily, as we see here by some of the exchanges, but from the general investors?
I think a lot of trust, I mentioned this a lot of trust has been lost in this. So I think, a lot of people are going to be skeptical about it. So, we're going to have to wait and see, and when it's launched, how people respond to it.
Well, my thing that I want to know is how involved is Do Kwon? Because I don't believe in Do Kwon. I don't think he's a trustworthy guy. I really don't think he's a trustworthy guy, and that doesn't sit well with me if I'm investing into a project that I am, fairly certain, especially because he closed down his the South Korean the Terra Foundation, closed that company down 2 or 3 days before the massive crash happened. There's some suspicious activities, shall we say?
Yeah.
Exactly. But one person though that I do slightly trust is Sam Bankman-Fried, Fried. I don't really know why. I know he said he wants to give away like all of his wealth in his lifetime. One of the ways he's going to do that, guys, is he's going to spend from between 100, so north of 100 million, up to a soft ceiling of $1 billion just to try and stop Donald Trump coming back into power. And I think he's saying this because Donald Trump is very much like an old finance guy. He's very much, he's probably easily lobbied by the likes of big oil, and he's not necessarily very forward thinking and crypto friendly. So what Sam Bankman-Fried is looking to do is essentially give people money who might become very important in the future, and hope that when these guys become important, that they make decisions that go in Sam's, favorable direction. Which, yes, it does sound like bribery, but they call it lobbying, and suddenly it's legal in the UK. The US, which is it's a weird dynamic they have going on, but I guess it works. Obviously, it works. So if he does pledge up to $1 billion, he said he's going to do this in a diversified type of way, not just investing in one specific person or company, but investing in few different companies, almost to potentially hedge his risk, but also spread out that influence, shall we say. Now, he has donated before $5.2 million in donations to Joe Biden's 2020 election campaign, which, is obviously why Sam Bankman-Fried hasn't come under major scrutiny at all. It might just be that he has to buy that. But given that he's doing this, and we also see that Coinbase are ramping up their efforts in terms of lobbying for crypto favorable policies, this is good for us as investors, to kind of see a little bit of, institutional and governmental lobbying. Yes, it might be bribery, but if it leads to positive policies that allow investors to get in, then us as the guys who were the early adapters, maybe we're not quite the early adapters anymore, but we're still ahead of the curve, being this involved in the crypto market at this time. Now, another person who's also very much into crypto, which we saw recently because of what's been going on in Davos, is a very well-known hedge fund manager. And AJ, I'm going to let you go through this. Who is Ray Dalio, and why should we listen to him?
Yeah, so during a CNBC interview, Ray Dalio said that he owned Bitcoin. That, is a main take that I've taken from this. And now Ray Dalio manages over $100 billion. He's always thinking about various markets and various assets. And if I can just show my screen,
Yeah.
you can see that in 2021, Bridgewater Associates, was the number one hedge fund firm. I'm not sure what it is in 2020 now, but I'm sure he's still, one of the largest hedge fund firms in the world, and he was managing almost, $106 billion. So it's fascinating to see that the founder of one of the world's largest hedge fund management funds in the world, is talking about that he owns Bitcoin, and maybe only a small percentage of his portfolio, is what he says, but he understands the nature of having an international currency that isn't bound by any one country or any one, monetary policy that is run by individuals or a single organization. So, Bitcoin being that replacement to gold, digital sound money has a place in his portfolio. He ultimately believes his ultimate belief is that fiat currencies are trash. Cash is trash, as you've probably heard him say quite a lot. Now, that reason is because he sees that over a long period of time that various central banks around the world are going to have to devalue their currency in order for them to handle this debt that they have. They're going to have to consistently devalue that currency. So what you are going to see is that goods and services will continue to appreciate. The price of investment assets such as Bitcoin is going to also continue to appreciate in price, all against these fiat currencies. And people need to realize that holding fiat is in fact losing their money in the long run. And when the majority of people realize this, is when I believe that you'll start seeing them all flooding into the likes of Bitcoin. So it's good to see the world's largest, well, one of the world's largest hedge fund manager talking about Bitcoin, saying that he owns it, and talking about how tremendously successful Bitcoin has been over the last 11 years. And I think that's pretty big news coming from him.
Absolutely, it is, and that's the thing. We're going to need to have more and more of these like positive bits of news. And he's absolutely right. Cash is trash, because if you hold cash, you're just sitting with money in your bank account, which is depreciating. In the US, for
Yeah,
example, CPI is what, around like 9%, and so
yeah,
CPI sitting at
8.7,
9%.
8.6.
Yeah, and if everything's getting so expensive at such a crazy rate, then surely you're going to want to put your money somewhere else where it's not going to just be
Yeah,
losing 9% in purchasing power. And I think this is obviously that's why he's saying that, and he's obviously a big investor. But we're seeing more and more of these people kind of branch into, okay, well, maybe we should be a little bit more bullish and open to different currencies. And guys, what we do want to do now
definitely.
is I
Yeah,
want to jump into the Bitcoin charts, show you some of the
yeah,
technicals, because there's been a lot that's happened overnight. And I'm going to finish up on some
yes.
Fed stuff, just in terms of, rate hikes, and why the expectation has changed last week versus this week, and how we can actually see that. But I do want to say, just reminder, stay till the end, because at the end we'll have our Q&A, and then we'll be giving away another $50 to one of the people in the comments. Make sure that you drop in
You don't want to miss
your,
that.
yes, don't want to miss that. So drop in your BUSD wallet address whenever you post your comment, and we'll keep that at the Q&A. But until then, let's check out some technicals.
Yeah, so looking at Bitcoin, starting off with Bitcoin, yesterday it looked like we were going to break down out of this symmetrical triangle, which I also said was a pretty, textbook bearish
Bearish pendant.
pendant. And, I thought that we were going to break down out of that yesterday. However, we did find pretty good support, and we came all the way back up and we tested, that resistance level at the top. Again, seeing a rejection like we have the past, 3 times that we've come up and tested it. Well, 4 times that we've come up and tested this. So we have seen a rejection. So each time, we see Bitcoin finding support, and each time we see Bitcoin finding resistance, only just strengthens the confirmation that, this pattern is something that we really need to be, bringing all of our attention to at the moment. We are just about finding support at the bottom here, just almost touch that support level. So I am expecting us to, come down and test that support level again. But whether we break it or not, I'm very, very unsure at the moment, because, we have found so much support along this level, bounced off it, but then, we've come and tested the resistance and we've seen a rejection from there. So all I can do, is give you sort of a price target of what will happen if one scenario plays out. So, if we were to play this out bullishly, if we were to, break to the upside of this symmetrical triangle, then we measure from the top to the bottom of the symmetrical triangle and take it to the potential breakout point, which will be around here. This could take us all the way up to approximately $34,000, which correlates with a bullish scenario that I'll get onto in a moment, which could play out at the end of this week. But let's just take the bearish scenario as well. If we were to break to the downside, we could, see the price come all the way back down to approximately $25,000. But, we can also take this as a bearish pendant as well. So if we took that from the top of the flagpole to the bottom of the flagpole and took that to the potential breakout point, this could give a price target of 17,000. Now, I told you in previous shows that I don't expect the price to come anywhere below, this $22,000 level, because, in history, we have used this so much as support. This 200 MA level, you can see that we've used it as so much support whenever we have seen a pretty substantial pullback in the crypto market. So I don't, expect us to break below this level. Yes, me and Ben have been talking about this as a potential for a wick to come down to that $20,000 level, which was, the 2017, 2018 high. So, we can see that wick come down, but the $22,000 level, I'm not expecting to see a candle break below that level. Now, for the bullish scenario that I was also talking about is this falling wedge that I mentioned a few shows ago. If we can hold this support at this, major support level, this blue box here, and if we can find support along this blue downwards trend line here, if we can find support there, then there is a pretty high possibility that we can come and have that relief bounce that we have been waiting for, all the way up to, around the $35,000, $37,000 level, which, then we can talk about maybe getting a break to the upside or getting another rejection, which could take us back down to this support level. So as of right now, we just want to, get a confirmation of where the price is going to go. And that confirmation will be given to us once we either get a break to the upside or a break to the downside. Now, we always have to factor in that, we can get these fake outs. So, I'll be looking at a retest. If we were to break to the upside, I'll be looking for a retest and then maybe a bounce. Or if we broke to the downside, I would be expecting, again, a retest and then the rejection. There is also that possibility that we can break to the upside and break back down below, having that fake out, which will most likely confirm the bearish scenario is going to play out. But then there's also the possibility we get the fake out to the downside and then, we break back above, which will most likely confirm that we could, see more price action to the upside. So as of right now, this is just what I'm focusing on. Staying away from the alts, as I said in yesterday's show, because, if we see Bitcoin break to the downside here, we could see the alts have, an even bigger crash than Bitcoin could have if we did break to the downside here. So mainly I'm just focusing on Bitcoin. Hopefully, we can break to the upside. That would be great news for Bitcoin. If we could break to the upside here, we could have, that relief bounce that we have been waiting for. But as of right now, we are just sitting above that support. So let's hope we can continue to hold that support and get that break to the upside. But as I said, the market is so indecisive at the moment. It just does not know what it wants to do.
No, you're absolutely right there. That's the thing, we really don't know at the moment, and there are bigger factors kind of at play, and that's why we just, you can't play it. All we can do with technicals is just kind of have an idea as to, okay, well, if this scenario does play out, where is our price target? And that's exactly
Yeah.
what AJ has given there. Which works out perfectly. Now, because we're on Bitcoin, we'll touch on a couple altcoins later. But I just want to quickly go through, because we're talking about Bitcoin here, I want to go through why I think that the market is in such a high level of indecision right now. So just to bring you over onto this, I'll just ignore that. So just to show you on this right-hand side here, everything's, it's neither here nor there. Last week was extremely bearish. And now yesterday, the stocks, everything kind of started off okay. We're still down massively. I said yes in yesterday's stream that because of ad revenue being pulled into question for Snapchat, we then have, a lot of the tech stocks down because they rely on ad revenue, and ad spend hasn't been as high because businesses haven't really been earning that much money throughout the COVID crash. So just to kind of show you what this is the Fed rate monitor tool. So just to quickly summarize, those of you who've seen it before, the Fed rate basically is the rate at which it costs to borrow money. So when they say, hey, we're going to have a 50 basis point hike, this is exactly what they mean. They're going to increase the rate at which it costs to borrow money. So currently we're sitting at, I believe we're at 1% so far. So we're around 1%. And so they're going to increase this rate by 25 basis points, which is 0.25. So the probability of them doing this in June the 15th, which is when their next kind of decision is going to come out. So the probability of increasing to 1.25 to 1.5 is 93%. Now, last week, there was a much higher probability. So the market was thinking, okay, well, it's probably going to be a much higher rate. Now, if there's a higher rate increase, then that means everyone's worried. So everyone kind of takes all of their money out of the stock market and out especially of these risky assets, such as tech stocks, also such as crypto. And so what I'm just going to quickly go through is, again, so for July, generally last week, the market was thinking, well, we're probably going to be at around 2% or 2.5% in terms of the rate hikes. But now the market this week is thinking, okay, well, maybe it's around 90% of people who are thinking, actually, it might be a little bit lower than the 2 to 2.5. It's going to be 1.75 to 2. And then again, we move into September, and it's the same story where people were kind of half and half on whether we were going to end up having inflation at this date at 2.75 or 2.25. Well, now the market's kind of thinking, well, actually, maybe, inflation is going to be a little bit lower. So what this all depends on and how the market comes up with these percentages of, oh, I think this or I think this, is because we rely on what's called these minutes. So this is when the FOMC comes together, they decide exactly, what is the rate hike going to be. So from these minutes, we're going to have lots of news about Jerome Powell saying, hey, look, guys, the market, it's looking really terrible. In reality, inflation's not coming down, so we need to do something very severe. And then if they do something very severe, these interest rate hikes are not going to be, 1.25. What happened in the 70s was Paul Volcker. He was the Fed chair. So Jerome Powell's equivalent in the 70s, inflation was at like 14%. So what he did was he just jacked it straight up to 20% and just left it there for like a whole year, or left it above 16% for the whole year. So having that interest rate hike was crazy, and the stock market did nothing. If we get, anywhere near that, obviously take all your money out of all of the crypto markets. But at the moment, the expectation is from last week, we're getting a little bit of a recovery. And I think that's why we're seeing a little bit of movement in the upside, or should we say, stability. But I will say that was yesterday's sentiment. Everybody's going to be waiting on this. So this is going to be an extremely volatile time. Now, I'm in Dubai, so this is in GMT +4. So check this out in your local area. But at this time, you're going to see a huge amount of volatility. So, the VIX is going to be going crazy, but also the price of Bitcoin is also going to be going crazy as well. So just keep that in mind. when you are trading. And then if they come out and they say something positive, like, you know, we don't feel like we need to have extreme measures to actually bring the market or the economy back into line, then that means it's good. That means they're not going to have crazy high interest rates. And so people will begin putting their money back into the market. If, however, they say, look, guys, you know, we need to do something more hawkish, or they become more hawkish, we need to do something more, should we say, severe to actually get inflation under control, i.e. the way they do that is they raise interest rates. So if they say that, then that's going to be very bad, and that will almost definitely fulfill what AJ was saying earlier in terms of bringing Bitcoin down to that 22,000 level. But I want to just quickly throw that in terms of the Fed and when you guys need to be expecting massive volatility, because we almost definitely will see it. And that will apply obviously to Bitcoin, and then afterwards it's going to be applying to all the altcoins as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
AJ, is there anything you wanted to mention about some of those altcoins? Or are we kind of like, I mean, Bitcoin was going to be the major mover.
Yeah, I think, well, we can take a quick look at Ethereum if we would like, but you know, as I said earlier, I'm waiting for Bitcoin to, you know, find that bottom before I start thinking about getting into altcoins, because you know, if Bitcoin breaks down, then and we get into altcoins now, then there's a very high chance that, you know, we're going to see our altcoins see a bigger hit than our Bitcoin portfolio. So as of right now, you know, I am just waiting for that confirmation for Bitcoin to find that bottom, and then I'll start thinking. And once I'm happy, you know, that it's found the bottom, then I will start, you know, looking at getting into some altcoins. But you know, Ethereum is doing, you know, exactly the same as Bitcoin. It's just holding on to that support, really holding on to that support. Ethereum, there is a bearish pendant here on the Ethereum chart as well. So, you know, if Bitcoin breaks out of its bearish pendant, then there's a very high chance that Ethereum is going to break out of its bearish pendant that's also forming here. You know, that's also sat on major support, like Bitcoin is at the moment. It's massive blue support. Just sat above it as of right now. You know, we have come and tested the very bottom of it, but you know, most of the time we have been consolidating along the top of this support. So you know, we still have a lot of support here. So if Bitcoin can hold its support and Ethereum can hold its support, then you know, I'm looking at them bouncing off of this level and then coming up to, you know, the resistance level, which is going to be this level here, which we used as previous support in the past and previous resistance in the past as well. So, you know, this is going to act as resistance. So if we can get a nice bounce, we can hold support here, get that nice bounce off of this second key support level, then I'm expecting, you know, the price of Ethereum to come up to this resistance level here and test that level, hopefully breaking through it. But, you know, there's a chance we could see a rejection and come back down to this second key support level. And if that happens, you know, that's more bearish really than bullish. You know, if we keep getting rejected at this level and we're coming back down to this support, you know, so that's all the TL I've really got on Ethereum. You know, altcoins, as I said, I'm staying away from them, waiting for Bitcoin to find that bottom.
Yeah, we absolutely should. Absolutely should. I think what we should do now is we should do a quick Q&A. So for everybody who's obviously still here, let's get going with our Q&A. I know that probably somebody is going to win $50. So you know, fire away some questions, and what we will do is we will just choose one of you who includes your Binance address into the comment, or even just comment below with your Binance address, your BUSD, I should say. So BUSD, the stable coin. And then we can send some money over to you. As long as it's on the Binance Smart Chain, fees are low, we're happy. MRE, he's back. Love to see it.
Yes.
So perfect example. Everybody follow what MRE is doing. So firstly, you have said, what will set Luna's new chain apart from other more trusted layer ones now that the algorithmic stablecoin is no longer part of the ecosystem? Where is the value? Devs and 7% APY. Likely not enough. No, do you know what? To be honest, I don't know enough. I haven't read through the full proposition yet, MRE. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to answer that as well as, you know, it should be answered. You know, for me, I don't think that it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a chain that recovers to the level that it was at. But yeah, like, I mean, even like you said, no algorithmic stablecoin. Like, what are they really focusing on? And I if you're a dev, I think you'd probably want to work on a different. I mean, obviously, it depends on the different languages, on the chains, etc., and how it's built. But like, I mean, I would probably stay well away from Luna as far as possible. And 7% APY. It doesn't seem like enough. And if there was so much confidence they couldn't keep up 17%, now that they've had a massive crash and had to restart again, and if Do Kwon is still there, no one's going to trust it, and so 7% is going to be even less likely to be able to be a sustainable amount of APY. But yeah, so in short, I'm probably only going to give you a bad answer, which I don't want to do, unfortunately. Maybe I can read through, do some research, and then get back to you on that. So next, Scottish lad waiting for Luna info. Yeah, we have to just wait. I mean, it was only an hour ago that they voted, that the voting ended to say, okay, well, actually, yes. So like I will show you on here. So as you see on the screen right here, just says 1 hour ago. So 65% said yes, but this was ended 2 hours ago now. So the actual kind of key differentiators, we have to read through. This is the full proposal, and you can find it. So this is the amended version. Because remember, he did one, they shut him down. I think they did number 2, and I think they shut him down again. But yes, so you can have a read through this. It's agora.terra.money, and then you can look through there itself. But I haven't read through it enough, and I don't really have faith in it, so I'm not really too bothered about it, if personally. And no, I won't invest in Luna. Crystal,
No.
I appreciate the question. JJ, are you going to be investing in Luna?
No, I was about to say that. No, I'm going to be staying well away from that. I think, as I said, earlier on, all my trust, in Luna is just gone. So I'm going to be staying away from that personally.
Yeah, well, like I just think, like, in terms of the amount of different projects out there, it doesn't seem worth it.
No.
So should I even bother with the airdrop for the new chain? I mean, look, if you hold Luna, you don't really have many choices. So I personally would. That's absolutely fine. Personally, I would if I was holding Luna. Don't see too much downside. But apart from that, yeah, that's it.
Make peace with the L.
That's fine. So I mean, the live was on bringing the news around the actual what the community had said. But yeah, I'm not going to go through and study exactly what it is or isn't. But yeah, there you go. Any other questions coming in? Thing is, so AJ, have you been keeping in tune with these little bit of, like, these different things coming out of the World Economic Forum? That's one of the best pieces of news that I think is maybe the most catalytic. Maybe not the best, but the most catalytic.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, like, I think that's where we're going to see a lot of, like, policy makers getting together, making some of those changes. And that's for me, like, that's a long-term goal, though. At the moment, we should be focused on that smaller term, what's going to happen with Fed rates. But I think having everybody together, because that's never really happened, has it? Governments, central banks, everybody all sitting with founders of exchanges.
Yeah. I think personally, it's always good to get in before the governments start to get in.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's before mass adoption.
Yeah.
But there you go. Okay, guys. Well, if there are no more questions, what we will do is we will announce MRE as the winner of the $50. So thank you very much. Always great to see you in the community. And yeah, you, my sir, have won $50. So we'll send that over to you. At the end of the week, we're going to bring together all of the guys who we've given the prize money to, and we will give you all a shout out on Twitter. So make sure you follow us over on there, and then we will tag you. And yeah, make sure that you have your $50. So well done. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Here we have here. MRE. Okay, guys, thank you very, very much. Let's see what happens with the Fed rate hikes coming out today, later on. And yeah, we will see exactly what the future holds. You have our ideas as to whether we're bullish or bearish, and where we think we're going to go if both of those happen.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, guys, and see you later.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks for
Bye.
watching. Bye.